let's talk about what is possible here, because as you said, it wasn't like it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to see this, right? We're going to see what happens when the user discovers through mobile and converts on the web. This is MobileGroove, looking at the news, because if you were at Mal, and of course the whole industry was, and we heard the news, AppsFlyer has announced web performance measurement. And this is the show where we're just going to dive into exactly that. Why now? Why Mal? What does it mean? All these questions, just the right person to give me the answers, because I have Eran, head of product in North America with AppsFlyer. And Eran, we met during the event as well. So excited to have you here, and I bet you're still excited about the news.
Yeah, absolutely, Peggy. Thanks for having me. It was a great event.
I mean, it's big news because it means a lot in the industry, but I want to just step back because you also helped initiate the solution, right? After market research, what customers were telling you, it said, hey, web measurement is still a major and unresolved problem. I'm just curious what you were hearing from customer conversations that said, yeah, this is bigger than just another reporting issue.
Absolutely. So the bottom line was that there was a lot of fragmentation across the customers that we work with and we talk with how app and web is measured. And we have all these amazing things in the app measurement space, all these bells and whistles. And they would just tell us, I need this exact same thing in web, whether it is the duplication of signals, whether it's the customizable attribution windows, the whole framework of how marketers have been leveraging web attribution has been stuck in kind of the past 20, 30 years. And they wanted to bring it into kind of the new evolution that mobile has brought into a performance marketing landscape.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, because, I love research. I'm a bit of a geek. Anything that surprised you in this? Because when I talk to marketers, it's like, we're drowning in data. What did you see in the research?
So we saw something very interesting when it comes to how web marketing teams and app marketing teams are so very, very siloed, but they're all looking at the same data set, eventually the same conversion. And we literally had a client tell us that the app marketing team is fighting with the web marketing team over the same conversions. They claim it came from them. The other team claims that it came from the app side of things. And this was a very big fragmentation in how they are able to understand what's really driving performance, especially how users are constantly moving across screens. That became a big structural shift for them to understand how things work together.
Yeah, and what you're mentioning there when they are saying, "Oh, it was me," no, it wasn't that. I mean, it's obvious then that teams are having their issues. Everyone has something, but very few teams are happy with it or united around it. Um, just stepping back, why is it so messy with mobile? Is it just like teams don't get it? They're not aligned. It sounds so simple, like what drove the conversion? You'd think with all the tools, they'd know the answer.
Mobile had to get it right because we had to. It was a very different uh, landscape of how marketing operates in the mobile space, with the siloed app stores and the data that's kind of behind the walled gardens of the platforms themselves. Whereas web has always been kind of open, right? You'd have
Mhm.
pixels, you have cappies, but then ITP came along and cookie expirations made things a lot more complicated. But still, the ability to get a deduplicated view across the different web touchpoints when it comes to the optimization perspective, because you'd work with the walled gardens on the web side of things. They will give you their kind of claim on things, especially if you provide them with server claims. That made your visibility into the marketing performance of web very, very uh, basic, I'd say, and missing a lot of deeper funnel, cohorted data with all the different consolidation of data points across the different touch points that users continuously move across.
Up until now, a lot of duct tape marketing going on, huh? just patching it together?
Yeah, it wasn't working because it wasn't broken because it worked, but it's
Uh-huh.
not up to the standard that we want web and need web attribution to be today, especially when we consider how it all plays into a broader marketing strategy that's more cross-platform, cross-device, and omni-channel.
Following AppsFlyers that I had over the years, you've been talking about cross-platform LTV and measuring users, not devices, for a while. So this piece, where does it sit as like the missing piece, the missing link in that bigger omni-channel story we've been hearing about for a while, and you've been working toward for a while as well?
The measurement perspective is kind of the final connecting tissue that we have to complete the picture from
Mhm.
this cross-platform play. The advantage that we bring from the mobile space is that mobile is a kind of very logged in, always connected, always personalized experience, always identifiable, always reachable. So that surface has the highest fidelity of signal, and we can leverage that to stitch and tie the LTV of the performance of the user across the web and any other platform that they interact with the brand, and then leverage all of that into one cohesive signal that we can send back to partners for optimization. So think about a user that constantly moves between app and web and CTV and console, whatever the user is active on. We can now capture that entire lifetime value of that user. And wherever they generate value for the brand, we can signal that back to the relevant acquiring partner for better optimization and better signals.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about what is possible here, because as you said, it wasn't like it ain't broke, don't fix it. It was more like it's not visible, so it doesn't matter. But now we're going to see this, right? We're going to see what happens when the user discovers through mobile and converts on the web. What happens there? What is this going to unlock? Because it's like a microscope. We didn't know about certain bacteria until we could see it. Then we saw this amazing new world. And I look at it a little bit like that, in the way that now we'll be able to see these things much more clearly. So we're going to be discovering some pretty cool stuff, Iran.
100%. I think the telltale sign is that you have something broken is when you see a lot of organic conversions, organic revenue. There's no such real thing as organic. And what we've seen with clients as they've adopted our web solution and kind of tied that with a cross-platform LTV, we've seen attributed revenue jump by up to 50%. Because now a user that was blind to the other platform, we know where that user came from. And we can tie that story together to a more cohesive view of what the LTV and ROI and the actual performance is. This really breaks out the organic, and we've seen amazing results with our clients so far.
Understanding that organic is not organic. It's understanding the journey that these users came in that we thought was just sort of like, word of mouth, which some of it still is. It's
Hmm.
still there, but you're
Yep.
going to understand more about how users really came into the app and where they're progressing.
You see an ad for an app and you go and install it and you register, but you don't purchase. Not quite
Right.
yet. And that is an non-organic install credited to that campaign. But the next day, 5 days, 10 days later, you'll go into the website, just type in www.brand.com. And that to the brand looks like, and then you go in and you register and you purchase. That looks like an organic purchase from the web marketer's perspective. But we know you logged in across both platforms. We can
Mm.
tie that conversion from the web into the app and signal it back to the acquiring partner and vice versa. The goal
Okay.
is no matter where the user engages with the ad, no matter where they consume, generate the value from for the brand, we are able to tie that into the story of what the user is doing from a performance perspective.
I also see the value in this because I'm just thinking of myself as a person, and I'll often do something on my phone, but then I'm like, oh, I'll get to that when I have just, I'm a little spoiled, just give me a keyboard and then I'll do the rest of it. But it would look like I just came in. So yeah, I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
Why is it risky? As many people do, right? Many marketers do. They just treat web as support, a landing page, just as you mentioned. Why is that risky and what changes here?
It's risky because you're leaving money on the table. You're not looking at the full value of the users and the value they create. Uh, you
Mhm.
are not really accounting for the value that marketing drives for the business. And in today's economy, we know that every dollar is under scrutiny. So that is a real risk. It's a risk for your budget next year.
And it's also part of the pain points that marketers have, when they're talking about tools that are siloed, broken optimization loops, that cross platform measurement isn't there. Didn't say it was broken, it's just not there. So I'm just curious because, again, you had your research, you talked to marketers. I mean, there were plenty of them at Mal and at your booth as well. What do you hear is the pain point that's like most painful for the growth teams today?
The biggest pain is the stitching of the cross-platform journeys that we talked about. And I've talked to hundreds of clients around this. Some of them have tried to do this internally, but the data is so fragmented. There are a lot of restrictions into the types of data that marketers can access. And they're just plain out telling us,
Mm.
AppsFlyer, we need you to do this for us. I don't want to waste engineering resources and data science resources into stitching this. You have all the data. Just do it.
Yeah, yeah. And they can only defend their budget when they can show value, right? So they're saying like, we have to calculate LTV, we have to calculate ROAS across platforms. This is what they have to show. We got the users, they're valuable. How does this actually change that? I mean, what happens when the measurement, allows that you can say, okay, mobile spend drives web revenue, and that is counted, as you said, as organic. So that's going to change. What else is going to change here?
I think it brings marketers a whole new toolkit to come to their finance team and help defend budget
Mhm.
because they are always kind of under review of how they utilize budget and the value that it's driving. And now with this better way of looking at the data, the more complete way, and acknowledging that there were gaps in the data before that now can be better stitched together, they can come to their finance team with a stronger message, data to back it up, and work together to find the best ways to move budgets forwards in the next iteration.
It's also, I guess, about giving the CMO or the CFO, that number, right? That number we can trust. We've been waiting for it. We had it. We thought we had it for a while. Are we going to get it back?
Historically, kind of blended KPIs have been used to overcome that. I think
Mm.
um, tying these platforms together alongside the ability to measure the incremental impact of all of this together will give CMOs, marketing leaders, better tools to work with their finance teams and bring the friction down. At the end
Mhm.
of the day, everybody's on the same team, but you need the right infrastructure behind it to help support the decision making.
I would imagine that you've heard this, teams have the feeling they've been misreading campaign performance. I hear that all the time. It's like, what works? We sort of think we do, but when web and app live in separate systems, um, that's where you're going to misinterpret the data.
100%. And we see that as a big catalyst as to why marketers want to break out the silos to help
Mhm.
this kind of insights into the data. I don't think marketers have the privilege anymore to have these siloed data teams, siloed data sets, siloed marketing teams. Um, Marketing teams are often built around how the screens are operated. You have a web marketing team, you have an app marketing team, you have a CTV marketing team, whatever. But the user doesn't live only in app, only in web. Marketers need to think, and I say this to my kids every time before they go to sleep, always think about the customer journey. And that's how marketers need to think. They need to think about where the users engage and the value that they capture and how to market holistically and
Mm.
measure holistic across any screen and any engagement point.
So this is exciting for all marketers, right? But web plays a different role when I think about the different verticals. I'm talking a lot to fitness apps where web is really important because it's explaining the tutorial, it's explaining the value proposition, which is a little bit different than like explaining the value proposition of a game, for example. So um, web plays a different role depending on the vertical. Can you walk us through some of the differences or maybe the pain points? Because, you know, different marketers listening in, they're going to understand this differently and see the value for them differently. So, say, for example, e-commerce or media entertainment. Maybe there's something you can share.
As users move between these screens,
Hmm.
the funnel can drop off multiple times in
Yeah.
multiple places. So making sure that you can measure to the best that you can on one platform and continue exactly where the user went, continued in another platform is the biggest challenge that we've seen marketers kind of try to overcome as they're looking at web alongside app, alongside CTV. And the deeper the funnel, the more complex it is, the more blind spots that you have, the bigger this problem becomes for you to solve.
Yeah, I'm thinking especially subscription apps, right? Because you're checking, you're doing your QR code, whatever, there's discovery, viewing, conversion. Um, that's going to be something where you can come in and understand those drop offs better, is also what I'm thinking.
Exactly. Exactly. And the data is going to be there to support it.
And what about when marketers will say, and it's fine, I've heard this too, we've got stuff. We've got stuff. We have things that allow us to look at web analytics, right? Performance measurement on the web. That's great. But how does that not solve for performance marketers? And where does again AppsFlyer come in? Because it's about stitching all of that together. And I want to understand that against the backdrop of this particular argument that, hey, we got stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I don't think that at the end of the day we're coming to replace the existing web analytics tools that do web attribution to a certain extent. We are approaching this from a performance marketing point of view. This is what we've been doing since day one, and we want to supercharge web marketing with hardcore performance marketing capabilities. So it's with much deeper and richer analytics. The signals and optimization component is a critical, often overlooked under the hood, kind of deep in the engine aspect of driving marketing performance. That's also a very core pillar of how we are approaching web attribution and how it plays alongside app and all the other screens that users engage with. I'd say those are kind of the main differences from a um, existing tool set and also being an unbiased deduplication of signal across these web partners and app partners for a full view of the marketing performance.
Hmm.
That's kind of the bigger differentiation points and our strategy around this as well.
Yeah, I mean, because you've nailed mobile, right? The other tools, they're fine in their place with analytics, but I want to understand, as you said, it's all about the customer journey. You want to see the customer journey.
100%. It's the only way to do marketing, in my opinion.
And speaking of marketing and marketers, a lot of people were very excited about this. I saw that. I did interviews on the booth as well about this. But like, who is the ideal marketer, the ideal company when it comes to looking at web performance measurement right now? Because it would be, okay, mobile first makes sense because we were at Mal. That's where you're going to find them. But what else tells you or should tell them even that they're ready for this?
Um, so the easy answer is yes, mobile marketers that kind of with everything that they know in mobile and want the same kind of bells and whistles they have in mobile. But also
Mm,
for more established web players, understanding the importance of breaking down the silos and the fragmentation of data is another type of customer that we see coming to us. Even if app plays a still a big portion, but a smaller portion compared to kind of a mobile first or app first type of brand, we see that as a recurring theme across multiple types of clients, across verticals, across web and app marketing mixes. So it's a problem to be solved for sure.
mhm. So what changes? I'm just curious. We talk about the customer journey, so we'll see that. But what changes when you start measuring web and app, mobile, the way you should? You'll be able to test channels faster and differently. You're going to be able to tell, I guess, what campaigns are performing, what's undervalued. What shifts? What are you excited about that maybe we haven't seen yet? A real improvement.
I think a lot changes for the business itself. Um, Knowing the true value of every marketing dollar is a big unlock that marketers a lot of times uh, believe they have, but maybe deep inside they kind of always have doubt. When the data is murky and you don't really know what's going on, you always have that kind of doubt. I think that's going to be a big step forward. Um, I think
Yeah.
another aspect of this is the fact that you now have this stitched, cohesive underlying data can unlock a lot of new opportunities in customer engagement across all media channels. It can definitely power um, better insights and actions and ideas from an AI perspective because you now have a clean data set across your user base that you can leverage for more AI driven optimization and activation. And
Hmm.
then finally, from the end user, they're going to have much better experiences. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we all want.
Yes, we're going to have a data set that is clean, clear, uniform. It's not going to, no murky sort of what happened here or that's organic. But what comes
Right.
next? I get excited when I think about this. AI is one thing, but when we look at this, so this is a release clearly closes a gap in omni-channel measurement. I have to say, okay, wow, this is interesting. Connected performance measurement. What does this look like? Even just a year from now, because everything is so fast. I won't even say longer than that, because look at what AI does and how quickly it happens. But again, Eran, you know this. This is your area. What's your vision? What do you see?
My vision is that no matter where a user engages with an ad, no matter where the user converts, and no matter what that conversion is for you as a business, you as a marketer will have a very high confidence of where that conversion, the fragmentation, the jumping, the silo, the walled gardens, all of that won't matter. You will know with a very high level of conviction that the dollar you put into that campaign drove value on your side for the business.
Bold statement. Bold statement. Strong conversation with you as well. So it deserves a bold close. There's sort of like those one sentence answers that just land. So I have one for you, right? Mobile first company that knows web is becoming more important, but still treats it as, how they approach it. It's good enough. It's good enough. What do you say to them?
I think good enough is a really expensive philosophy when
Sure.
you are measuring where your money is going.
Yeah.
When you're looking at at your bank account at the end of the day, you're not saying is it good enough. You want to know where that uh, $5 charge on your credit card went to.
Mm, agreed. And the power comes from wash, rinse, repeat, which you can only do when you know what you did. So you can repeat it. That's the whole point. Success, that
Correct.
movement forward. I'll
And
buy
it's
that. I'll buy
flywheel
that.
then. constantly feeds itself.
Mm, okay. And in a sentence, we were talking about the future. Let's continue with it. What do things look like in the future? What does this mean for the future of omni-channel measurement?
More opportunities with better data, better confidence in the results. You have more opportunities, whether that's for more budget or experiments with new channels. Um, and at the end of the day, a better collaboration between teams and the organization that do not talk, even though they sit next to each other and they are talking to the same user. Um, I think that is a shift that has to happen within the organizations, um, uh, and the sooner the better.
Yeah, I mean, it's where we are. We know there is a journey. We know we can't look at metrics in isolation or customers in isolation at any stage of the journey. I can also imagine this means really, really cool reports and insights from AppsFlyer, because now we're going to have even more data, more insights. Am I going to look forward to that? Is that something I can look forward to, Eran?
Absolutely. It's already
Cool.
there, and we're going to add more and more capabilities. It's also going to be connected to our MCP, which we've seen clients do amazing things with.
Well, that is exactly what we need, because data is our lifeblood. So this is good news for marketers. And it was a great conversation with you, Eran. Very broad, very bold statements. I'm excited to see and maybe connect with you going down the future and see where we land and how correct you were. So thanks again for your time.
Let's see. Thanks, Peggy.